Welcome back to the Mayorverse, everybody. Mayor Reynolds, aka Midnight Mayor here, and today we are diving into the controversial jar of Vaseline that is skins in DEADROP. This has been a hot topic lately. There's a variety of opinions, theories, thought processes out there, and I truly think that a large number of people are misunderstanding this whole debate and not even quite sure how extraction shooters work. And this is going to be a very long, in-depth, theoretical video, a very high-level video. I've thought about recording this video a few times, sharing my thoughts and my insights, if you can call it that, into the gaming industry and so on. So I've already recorded this video once. I scrapped it. I didn't like the way it came out, but we're moving forward with it. So what we're going to do is a very thorough, long, lengthy discussion about the gaming industry, monetization, extraction shooters, and how DEADROP and Midnight Society are attempting to be solutions to many of these problems for both the gaming industry, game development, extraction shooters, monetization in general. All of these things, and some of these topics are very new. They're not, your normal way of looking at things. And I think if you look at the whole project, in my opinion, and you're free to have another opinion, and piece it all together, there's a lot here that I personally like and find exciting. And here's a couple disclaimers as we get into this. All right, disclaimer number one. All of this is my opinion. None of this is based on this is how Midnight Society is doing it in DEADROP, because those facts basically are not available yet. Midnight Society has been very careful about what they commit to because, well, a number of reasons. First and foremost, this game is actively in development and it's being developed in partnership with the community, and the devs truly are listening and reading to everything that everybody says. After meeting the devs in Vegas, I can definitely say this is true. They are listening. They do read the stuff that everybody posts in Discord. They do watch the videos that creators make. They're listening, okay? So they're listening, they're trying things, they're seeing what works, they're seeing how people feel. That's actively happening, and most game developers, frankly, don't do that, right? And the other thing is the regulatory space around monetization in video games is it's rapidly changing, as is the blockchain space, right? Like many countries or even states have taken up, in the United States, have taken up different loot box initiatives in certain territories. For example, different laws have been passed or are being considered. And then there's also the blockchain space, obviously, which is rapidly evolving, changing every day. Even if Midnight Society has a plan to do something this way right now, 6 months later, that could change, right? So until those decisions are actually made at Midnight Society, until the time comes where they're ready to implement these systems and actually start like piloting them or trying the first iterations of them, I don't expect a lot of firm commitments. That's just me. And again, this is all a disclaimer. Everything is subject to change for a variety of reasons, whether that be Midnight Society's open development itself or the regulatory system and a rapidly changing environment there. Disclaimer number two, please keep the discussion clean. A lot of people have been all over this subject lately, and that's great. That's fine. Discussion is welcome. That's why I am making this video, to welcome that discussion, to add my 2 cents to the discussion. But whether you're engaging people in Discord, and whether it's a developer or just somebody in the community, whether it's on Discord in the comments of this video or on the DEADROP subreddit or Twitter or whatever, this is an important discussion, and do your best. There's going to be a lot of strong opinions. Do your best to maintain control, be respectful, make your points, and that just, unfortunately, that needs to be said in 2023. So just throwing that out there. The first thing that needs to be established is what DEADROP is. DEADROP, at its core, the main mode, at least, vertical extraction shooter, which is the mode that Midnight Society is developing. I'm seeing myself on screen on Midnight Society Twitter right now. Anyway, that is an extraction shooter. That is the main mode of the game. It is not a battle royale. It is not an arena shooter. There's other modes in the game, the DCMs, but the main mode that Midnight Society themselves is developing is an extraction shooter. And I feel like a lot of people, especially in the console space, still have not played an extraction shooter, or have only really played a light version of extraction shooters. So what is an extraction shooter? An extraction shooter is a game like Escape from Tarkov, that being the most prominent, Marauders, which is probably my favorite extraction shooter, other than DEADROP, the Cycle Frontier, and Hunt Showdown, and a lot of different games in this genre, which is blossoming. There's a million extraction shooters in development, no kidding. It's an exploding genre. They all have different unique, I mean, not all of them, I guess, but some of them have different unique approaches. But the general idea in extraction shooter is that you go in to usually a large scale level, map, or arena of some kind, and your goal is to get in, get loot, or accomplish certain objectives to get loot. And you're usually fighting both PvE and PvP enemies in most of these games. PvPvE is like the new hot thing in the gaming industry, and survive. You have to get out. And DEADROP has a unique twist on that, with the DEADROP itself being the last man standing, which is kind of like a battle royale element, of course. And DEADROP right now is very faster paced than most other extraction shooters, which are known for being very meticulously paced, kind of on the slower side, and having very hardcore elements to them. DEADROP has some of those hardcore elements, and some of them might be the high risk, high reward aspect of this game, by the way. But in general, an extraction shooter is not the same as a battle royale. It's not the same as an arena shooter. It's an entirely different thing, and we're going to get into how that impacts your inventory system, skins, cosmetics, so on and so forth. So DEADROP, VES mode, extraction shooter, much different than BR. We'll get into more of this later, but in general, extraction shooters severely limit a player's inventory to, again, make sure that the items that people are picking up in game they have a value, right? So if you go in and you extract with a variety, and maybe you get a couple guns, some valuable items that you can sell for currency or whatever, that help you buy ammo, bandages, in a lot of games, of a variety of things, okay? Usually you only have a limited number of inventory spots. Right now in DEADROP, that's 250, which is very generous. In my time in Marauders, which I played quite a bit, you really can only fit like maybe 20 guns in your inventory or something like that. Inventory management is usually a hardcore part of extraction shooters. You can only fit so much in your inventory. That's it. Limited. Important, right? We'll get into that soon. Okay, so now I'm going to present you with a variety of problems that the gaming industry and extraction shooters have, and DEADROP or Midnight Society's solutions to those problems, because I believe that the vision of Midnight Society and DEADROP is one of solutions, and bold solutions. From the get-go, Midnight Society has been clear that they want to be something new, something bold, and something different. And all of these different pieces come together. The open development, just being a vertical extraction shooter, when having vertical maps, the future marketplace, the cosmetics, all this fit together to build a pretty comprehensive picture of changing the game industry, changing video games as we know it. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe you're all sitting there and you're like, no, duh. But I think if you listen to this and listen to the problems and the solutions, you're gonna see more of these pieces coming together and making sense. So relax, listen to this video in the car or something on your way to work. It's gonna be a long one. It's probably already long already. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about problem number one. Video game development costs are through the roof, and video game developers, games, and organizations are failing at an alarming rate. For the past year or more, we've seen video game development costs, and way more than a year actually, balloon, and we're starting to see the effects of development costs that have risen past a point where the game industry can no longer sustain itself. I mean, just this week, Bungie was hit with layoffs, and it was announced that they missed their revenue projections by 43%. Just a month ago, Epic Games laid off almost 1,000 people. This is one of the biggest gaming companies in the world, with one of the biggest games in the world, that being Fortnite. Most played games in the world. You'd think they'd be making tons of money. They are. They're making billions of dollars, and they've been making tons of moves with the Epic Games Store, purchasing developers, so on and so forth. and they announced, hey, guess what? We're spending more money than we are making. Naughty Dog had to cancel The Last of Us Extraction game because it just wasn't up to, internally by all measures, these are rumors of course, the expectations of players. AAA developers with strong records of success are failing left and right. 100 Thieves on the esports scene laying people off. FaZe Clan had an evaluation supposedly that they claimed was close to $1 billion just a year ago and went public, right? And they were recently purchased for $17 million. Large gap there. Sega just canceled Hyenas, which cost them $200 million, their most expensive game ever. An Extraction game, by the way, which I played and I liked quite a bit. Very polished, was basically finished. And they decided there was no market for it. Players just weren't reacting to it the way they hoped. $200 million down the drain. They now say they plan to release an $800 million game in 2026. If that game fails, Sega themselves may be on the brink of collapse. All of these factors have led to games and the gaming industry being forced to make drastic moves, whether it's cutting costs with layoffs or increasing levels of monetization or a combination of both, right? And gamers have reacted negatively to both, even though gamers continually buy cosmetics, which is something I'll get into later. They kind of say they don't like cosmetics, but they continually act the opposite and buy them. Anyway, a lot of games have seen major criticism from players over their monetization, and this is something. Monetization in games has changed so much over the past 20 years. Like, it used to be, you paid for your game, it was $50, and that was everything you got, right? What came on your disc or your cartridge, that was your game. And then came downloadable content, downloadable expansions, or eventually map packs at one point, which the developers could make a little additional money on, selling them for, $10, $15, $20 for additional story content or 3 new maps. But people didn't really like, especially in multiplayer games, the map packs, because that could split communities. Some people would have access to some maps, some people wouldn't have access to other maps. Wasn't really a viable solution, but it was one of the early adoptions for actually continuing development of multiplayer games. Then came the free-to-play game, right, which was a huge revolution, and we're really still in that area, which the thought process there is give more people the game, get the game in the hands of more players for free, and then allow them, players being, to contribute to the the development costs, so to speak, to help the developers recoup development costs through selling cosmetics, in-game skins, depending on the genre, certain buffs or time savers. Mobile games are big into stuff like that, and a lot of gamers really don't like that stuff, but those also continue to be a runaway success for a lot of mobile game developers. And the battle pass system, for example, was something that was thought up. Like, if you pay for the battle pass, then and you play enough, the players will be rewarded. And gamers have different what's the word I'm looking for, preferences, right? Some people like just being able to purchase whatever they want up front for the price that they want. Some people like loot boxes in free-to-play games. A lot of people don't like loot boxes. There's laws about loot boxes in a lot of territories. Some people feel that they can be a gambling mechanic, and they don't like that. Some people love that. Some people love the randomness of paying 99 cents or whatever, and you might get something really amazing, or you might not. Some people love that. A lot of people don't like it and think it's unfair. All of these methods of monetization have their pros, they have their cons, they have critics, they have people that stand by them. But the problem is, all of these things, regardless of who we're talking about, what genre, what developer, the heaviest hitters in the industry are failing. They are failing no matter how monetized the game is. And every game's different, and you could sit there and you could make arguments about, well, this game did this, they misplayed their hand here, and this game failed to do this, and this org made a misstep here. And a lot of those stories may be right, but the overall trend is the gaming industry is entering a period where the expenditures are no longer sustainable, right? Like especially the AAA gaming industry. expenditures are no longer sustainable. The revenues are not matching the costs, and it's become a problem. Developers are selling left and right, consolidating. Orgs are closing, developers are closing, layoffs are occurring. I don't mean to be doom and gloom, but this is the reality of what the industry is living with. This is the cliff that we are looking at, and this is what we need to find a solution to. And I believe the Midnight Society and DEADROP has considered this, and they are proposing solutions. So let's keep going. That's our first problem. So solution to this problem, solution number one, is the Midnight Society development process in and of itself. Instead of taking a ginormous risk of developing a game in isolation for 3 to 5 years or more in many cases, right? Like Halo Infinite was developed for 6-7 years, Red Dead Redemption 7 years. We've been playing the same Grand Theft Auto for 3 generations, especially if you're a new IP. Instead of waiting and developing a game and launching and hoping that the world adopts it and risk your entire business, your employees' livelihood, right? Hoping that your game hits, hoping that all the bets that you've made pan out and that players like them and you've made all the right decisions, you can thread that needle. You do what Midnight Society is doing, which is open development in partnership with the community. So you've since day zero, you've built a community who love your game, who feel ingrained in the community, who love the game, love the brand, and are going to be spokesman for the game when it really launches to the masses, so to speak. When in this case, when DEADROP launches as a true free-to-play product, that's what this is all about. Making sure that you've partnered with your players in the open, not just internal testing, hoping you have the right group of testers, right? Or you get the right streamers to give feedback after you've already developed the game for 3 years or whatever, and then you bring people in to get actual feedback on the game. You do what Midnight Society is doing, and you actually put yourselves out there and you let people play the game when it doesn't look amazing, when it's just blackout environments, when it's running at 30 FPS and all you got's a firing range, right? Like, that is the first solution on the roadmap here, or the approach. Do development differently, period. They've also enabled themselves from a business sense to generate at least small amounts of revenue, not only to help themselves, but to prove to potential investors, hey, this works. We have a community of people that we are reaching who are loving what we are doing. Yes, you can invest in us. Yes, you can believe in us, because look, we launched 10,000 founders passes and we had 400,000 people apply for these founders passes. That many people were interested in our product in this early stage. Or look, we rolled out our first in-game cosmetics, the driver's key packages or whatever, and people were really interested. Or you have the opposite of that, where you try something early on, it does not work, but it's okay because it's still early enough in the process. You haven't hedged all your bets on this one system that you took 4 years to develop, and then players didn't like it, and now you either have to try to force it upon players, or just all that time and development and energy was wasted, and now you need to come up with a completely different system. Take the Halo Infinite cross-core thing, for example, right? It's taken, 2 years to start sorting that system out. I have loved Halo Infinite from the get-go. I believe the gameplay is incredible, the visuals are incredible, but people got so hung up on things like the cross-core system that it detracted from the game. And the development process that Midnight Society has chosen to utilize is going to prevent problems like that happening and becoming such a show-stopping disruption to the game itself when it fully arrives. All right, the next solution to this cost problem is the eventual marketplace in DEADROP, and we're going to get more into this later. But first and foremost, it's important to recognize how the marketplace really will create additional revenue streams for Midnight Society themselves, in addition to players, which we're going to get into later. But for Midnight Society themselves, this helps in a number of ways. In games like Apex Legends, in games like Fortnite, the developer or the publisher or whatever the business arrangement is, they only make the money from the purchases of cosmetics up front, right? So if you release a new skin or a new heirloom or whatever, you hope that players like it, and the money that you get is directly from the direct purchase of those skins, of those cosmetics, and that is it. In a system like I imagine what the DEADROP marketplace will function like, skins can be bought and resold by players, earned and resold by players, found and resold by players, looted and resold by players, and on every one of these transactions, again, I am speculating, Midnight Society will make a small cut when they are sold in their marketplace. So if you earned a skin from a quest or whatever, however these things pan out, right? You will then be able to sell it on the marketplace for whatever the value is, whatever other players will pay for it. Let's say it's $10. It's likely that Midnight Society will take a small chunk from every sale and make money on that. So they don't restrict themselves specifically to the direct purchase of cosmetics for revenue. This is very smart, not to mention the ability that this gives gamers themselves. You know, you don't have to be over encumbered with thousands of skins that you're never going to use and don't like. You can actually resell them and then take that credit or whatever, however it's going to work, currency, right? And then either use it to buy skins you do want. There's a million variables here. Move it into a wallet. All of these systems are to be determined. Again, none of these things are 100% confirmed. This is purely conceptual. But the marketplace, from a business standpoint, you can see it gives Midnight Society an additional revenue stream that, frankly, other games, except for maybe like the Steam marketplace, for example, traditionally do not have. This is very smart, and this gives Midnight Society, again, flexibility, not only in their own operation, but to then obviously invest more in their own game and community, and this is very important. Then take this concept a step further with UGC and DCM and creative mode, right? Empowering players to create content in DEADROP, in the existence, whether they be maps, modes, skins, wraps, whatever. And you have rev share with those things, with the creators. Those additional revenue streams enable that rev share. It enables them to safely say, yes, we want to share revenue with our creators. We want to reward our creators, because let's face it, as costs balloon the way they have in the gaming industry, that's for a reason, right? Gamers have an increasing appetite for more content, more patches, more new characters, more story, more cosmetics, more weapons, more maps, everything. And you can never have enough, right? DCM, UGC, the marketplace, all those things form together to make this ecosystem that sustains itself, right? And again, if a creator makes something and places it, all hypothetical, on the eventual marketplace that Midnight Society themselves did not have to develop, but people really love, they make a skin and people want to pay for it, Midnight Society makes a small cut from that. They get some revenue to help sustain the whole game, the ecosystem, the community, all the events that they have, support creators, and it all just fits. Of course, obviously, the creator makes something in that transaction as well, which is another positive. All of this is part of the important approach to what is, in my opinion, Midnight Society looking at the problem that is the cost of game development and the cliff that the gaming industry, specifically the AAA gaming industry, because indie development is a totally other thing, is looking at and finding a solution to. And this is not easy, and this is not traditional, and that's okay. That's part of what Midnight Society has said from the beginning, is we're basically gonna break barriers. We're gonna do things different because the old way just isn't working anymore, right? All the things that I just went over, Overwatch League failing, just so much going on, and almost nobody on the AAA scene. You can point to a few very successful, especially in the game as a service front, multiplayer game front, is finding just pure success across the board. So this brings us to the next problem in the gaming industry, or at least that many gamers have, which is we all collect loads and loads and loads of cosmetics in all of these games that we play, whether it's Apex Legends or Fortnite or Call of Duty, and they are largely useless, right? I mean, people do resell accounts, which is usually against terms of service, but Midnight Society and DEADROP are empowering you through the marketplace to actually do something with your skins through actual digital ownership. I'm not going to get deep into that because, again, all that stuff is still to be worked out and decided, but that's the idea. Really, you can only, really use in most games one skin at a time or whatever, and all your old ones are just useless, right? You don't use them anymore. This is changing things up, and extraction shooters change things up in general, because in most games, in extraction shooters, again, they don't work like battle royale games, right? Like, it's not like every gun you pick up just applies the cosmetic that you have equipped like it does in Apex or something like that. In DEADROP, as it functions now, again, everything's subject to change, what the gun that you have already has the cosmetic equipped to it, right? So your deep freeze collection, for example, if you own that, you get those 3 guns, and if you lose those guns, you lost your gun with the deep freeze skin on it. You can acquire it back, which is important, by just finding it, killing the person who took it, or just playing the game in general, and you will probably find more of them. This happens very often. You find people who brought a deep freeze skin in, so on and so forth. But in general, in most games, the skins that you have are literally useless. You pay for a skin, you thought it was the coolest skin ever, and then in season 7, Viper UGC in DEADROP's case puts out a new skin which is amazing, and you want to use that. Well, Midnight Society and DEADROP, hypothetically via the marketplace, will empower you to sell the old skin now and make something back, or maybe even make a profit. Maybe you'll make more than you paid for it because maybe it's a rare skin and it was limited time or whatever, and there's a huge demand for it because whatever reason, right? Like, this is a solution. The marketplace in this case is a solution to the problem of just endlessly buying cosmetics and getting nothing back for them. One of the other big problems that extraction shooters have is that the core tenet of the game, the loot, the whole point, extracting and getting, stuff that's supposed to be exciting and worthwhile and valuable, the stuff just isn't exciting, worthwhile, and valuable. You hope that the game is strong enough to stand on its own, that the base game is just fun enough to play. I believe that DEADROP does fit in that category, that the game's just fun enough to play even in this early state. But a lot of these other games, I loved Marauders. I loved the gameplay. I loved the setting. I was addicted when I played it for the first time, and I found myself grinding it a lot. But after a while, you realize that you're just getting and acquiring the same items over and over again, and there's not really any progression. None of it really means anything, okay? Now I've got more assault rifles that I had, and okay, now what, right? And the solution that developers have come up with to this system to make it exciting to keep people playing, and from just realizing that, okay, none of this is for any real reason, is generally wipes, which is, guess what? They take away all your stuff. I know that's exciting for some, but that is the solution to this problem. Think about that. We're just going to take away everything that you've earned, that you've saved, that you've taken. Is that really the solution? Like, I know starting over can be exciting, right? That's why they have different games have different mechanics that, starting over, like Call of Duty has the prestige system and stuff. It can be exciting. But think of it, that mandatory mechanic of, hey, guess what? You know how we're going to make the game fun again? We're taking away all your stuff and we're making you start over again. That's the solution that we have right now. Hunt Showdown does things a little different, as they have a permadeath mechanic. Obviously, DEADROP does not have that. It's not the same style of game from that perspective. But just think about that for a second. That's really a problem, is that the items that you're extracting in an extraction shooter, the loot, which is front and center, that's what the experience is. You find something important in the game world, or you take it from another player who you killed, or you killed some boss, or you completed some mission, or you just found something super rare and valuable, right? That's the thrill. You find that, and you're trying to get to the extraction, you're trying to survive, and you're making decisions. Do I go this way or that way? The last time I went this way, I had a really hard time. I ran into a lot of players. The last time I went this way, there was a lot of PvE enemies, or I felt my death I fall to my death all the time if I go that way, or whatever, right? That's exciting. That's what builds the tension of extraction shooters, that is literally the core experience of an extraction shooter. That differentiates it is that risk, that reward, those momentary decisions which lead you to talk to your friends at the water cooler at work or whatever. Like this guy on my screen, I was about to extract with all this really good stuff. I had 8 comic books and 2 obelisks in my bag, and then I got sniped at the last possible second. I couldn't believe it. Or I jumped down on this guy's head, and you wouldn't believe it. I just shot this guy right before he took the zip line out of here, and you wouldn't believe what he had. He had Dr. Disrespect's $250,000 knife. That's what the core thrill of an extraction shooter is supposed to be. But by and large, when you play extraction shooters, the stuff that you're extracting with, let's be honest, it's not exciting. It's some basic guns and some ammo and some supplies, and eventually, for many players, that's going to just eventually it's going to be like, okay, I've done this enough times and I'm no longer achieving anything new or exciting. That's a problem for the extraction shooter genre. So what's the fix for this? I've said it a million times. The marketplace. With the marketplace, the loot that you extract, whatever it may be, some of it, all of it, however Midnight Society decides, will be able to be sold, traded with other players, and you can actually earn something and receive something from the work that you're doing in the game, right? Those epic missions where you actually extract with something very valuable. The marketplace and the items having actual value is the solution to loot in extraction shooters, really in the long run not being worth a damn, and they just wipe it all in the end. Then there is the next extraction shooter problem, which is there's a million of them. Everybody and their brother is making a PvPvE extraction shooter. This has happened again and again throughout gaming's history. A genre blooms, everybody makes one, and then there's only a few left standing. Midnight Society wants to be one of those games. They want to be one of those studios. They do not want to launch their first game and then go out of business and all their employees get laid off and the fans disappointed, right? They're putting lots of time and effort into this project. They're partnering with the community, so on and so forth. How is DEADROP going to stand out? How is Midnight Society going to do things differently? The solution? Everything that we're talking about in this video that fits together. The marketplace, the open development, the high risk, high reward gameplay. You know, Escape from Tarkov's gonna be around for a while. Hunt Showdown's gonna be around for a while. There's not gonna be that many more extraction shooters that stand the test of time. Usually 2 or 3 games in a genre is all that makes it. You look at MOBAs when that blew up, right? You basically got League and you got Dota, and that's really it. Battle Royale, you've got Fortnite, you've got Apex, you've got Warzone, and kinda PUBG. Like, all the other hundreds of games in these genres don't make it. DEADROP and Midnight Society need to do things to make sure that the game, as great as it may be, as great as it may play, stands the test of time. We've all seen games that we know and love that are really great quality games not make it, right? Splitgate comes to mind. For me personally, Shadowrun on Xbox 360, Hyperscape, the list goes on and on. Sometimes just being a great game isn't good enough. You have to do things broader than that to really differentiate yourself and make sure that you have an audience that's highly engaged. Just think about some of the upcoming competition in the extraction shooter genre that DEADROP and Midnight Society will be going up against. Bungie is making Marathon. Bungie, a huge developer, a huge studio, the creators of Halo and Destiny, who are now owned by PlayStation, with all of Sony's marketing might that are going to be pushing that through the PlayStation brand, are making Marathon a new extraction shooter and reviving a franchise that already has a fan base, right? And they already have a very large community. The next Far Cry game from Ubisoft is rumored to be an extraction shooter. There's tons of AA and AAA developers making extraction shooters, many of which, you know, every company's making one, are going to be putting huge amounts of money in marketing their game with more developers and more marketing dollars than Midnight Society has at this point as basically a startup who started from scratch. And of course, there's a lot of very known players, Dr. Disrespect, 402, Sumit Gupta is a very savvy businessman, Quindel Hoyo. We know the talent of the team, right? And the team, by the way, is still much smaller than your typical AAA developer. Someone like a Bungie who is much larger. But that's let alone the competition in the FPS space, right? Outside of extraction shooters, where you've got all the normal heavy hitters like Counter-Strike, Valorant, Call of Duty, Apex Legends, all of those games. DEADROP and Midnight Society need to be bold. They must differentiate themselves. The competition is going to be very high, and they can't just put out a standard FPS or a standard extraction shooter. They need to be better and more unique, bigger, bolder, badder in every way, shape, and form. So now we get into the really big part of controversy here, or controversy or discussion lately, which is the fact that you can lose guns with cosmetics on them in DEADROP, hypothetically, as planned. Remember, as we've said, this is an extraction shooter, and I think a lot of people are thinking about this game like it's a battle royale, like it's an arena shooter, and it is not. You have limited inventory space. You can only fit so many guns in your inventory, right? So like right now, you only have 250 inventory slots. So hypothetically, under the system as implemented right now, you could only ever possess 250 weapons with different cosmetics on them. You could not have more than that. There's not a separate, as of right now, and again, we're going to get into potential ideas and solutions that Midnight Society themselves have said they're considering. But as of right now, as designed, and usually in extraction shooters, many of which don't even do cosmetics, which give the player no real choice or customization or expression, like Escape from Tarkov, I'm talking. The cosmetic systems just don't work the same way. And this is for a reason. Like, if you listen to the whole video, this is all going to make sense. And the marketplace and the high risk, high reward elements, that they're all important because supply and demand and all of these things. So keep listening. But anyway, remember, in an extraction shooter, cosmetics don't work the same. If you go in and you kill somebody who has a skin on their gun that you really like, you're going to pick it up, you're going to equip it, you're going to try to extract with it. If you get out, guess what? You have that skin now. You have that gun with that skin. And yes, if you take it back in, you're risking losing it, because it's not like a battle royale where every time you pick up an R99, it applies whatever skin you have equipped. That would totally break a system in an extraction shooter, especially where there's going to be a marketplace, because literally you might have some uber rare skin that's worth, whatever, $10,000. But if you just walk into a lobby and you just start picking up guns and then dropping them, you're creating more of a supply of that skin, which would then break the value of it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if you understand economics, this should make sense. Like, that's not the way the system works. Now, there's several positives to this scenario that I feel like people are really ignoring or maybe overlooking, and that is the flip side to this equation. So, of course, yes, under the system as I'm describing it, at least, which is only my description, my vision of it, it's again not the way that Midnight Society is necessarily planning on doing anything, as this video is purely speculative and theoretical. Of course, you can gain cosmetics. You can go into DEADROP, never purchase a cosmetic ever, never spend a dime, and get cosmetics for free. There was a time in video games where you could earn cosmetics. I'm talking Halo 2, Halo 3 days, right? You didn't have to spend money. Games don't do enough of that these days. That's the general consensus around the industry. I hear that about Halo Infinite all the time. We want more earnable cosmetics. With the marketplace, this is another solution that people, I feel like, aren't recognizing. There can be plenty of earnable cosmetics through a variety of different factors. Of course, you can buy cosmetics like all games do. That's not going away by any means in the gaming industry. But you can earn cosmetics, whether that be through finding very, very, very rare weapons with cosmetics on them in the game world, right? There can be things that are programmed just one of every 5,000 times that you open a particular loot box in a particular sector. And I don't mean loot boxes and purchased, I mean like a loot container found in the game world, where you equip your weapons in a sector. Maybe it spawns a very rare variation of a you know, a unique cosmetic which has value that creates excitement, because now, oh my god, I guess what I just got, this very rare drop I just found in Sector 5. This gun, this cosmetic is exclusive to Sector 5. That creates excitement and risk. I got to get out of here with this thing. My game plan has changed. I don't want to fight 10 people. I need to find a way out of here, because I have this thing that I either A, want to hold on to for clout and pride, or maybe I want to sell it because this thing has value. That player choice, that player agency is yours. That's going to be exciting, and from both a player perspective and a viewer perspective on Twitch. And if that thrill balances out the obvious, the flip side is you lose something like that. If that high is going, it's going to be exciting. Let's be honest, that's going to be exciting. But everybody's focused in this conversation about the losing a cosmetic thing. But people are totally missing out on the, oh, I can gain cosmetic things. And I feel like the discussion has really been lopsided, because there's a potential to earn things. Maybe by completing a variety of objectives and quests or missions or whatever you want to call them from certain vendors or NPCs in the tower, you know, you are rewarded with a gun with a certain cosmetic on it or whatever, right? And then you can hold on to it again for pride, or you know, take it in, because you can, at this point in time, at least hypothetically, only hold 250 items anyway. And if you have a weapon with a cosmetic on it that you just don't particularly like or care about, you can take it in and lose it, or put it on the marketplace, like I said. And here's the thing, here's the difference why this system enables Midnight Society and DEADROP to do something that other games don't. That's the marketplace, another solution. Again, the marketplace is a solution, right? Because in other games, all you have is that this skin costs $9.99 and that's it forever. The player buys it, that's all you made off of it forever. Midnight Society can give you a skin, whether it's a rare spawn in the world or whatever, from a battle pass, a free tier of a battle pass, or a mission, for free. They don't need to charge you for it in this situation. I'm not saying that everything's going to be free. I'm just giving a scenario. If you then sell that cosmetic on the marketplace, whether immediately or 2 years later, because maybe that cosmetic was a limited time thing and it's increased in value and it's really rare and sought after now, when you sell it on the marketplace, they're going to get a cut and they're going to make some money. And every time that cosmetic sells on the marketplace, they're going to get a cut and they're going to make money. So not everything needs to be like, you know, overly crazy Apex heirloom, I paid $150, or Valorant, you know, this skin. Valorant makes awesome skins, but some of them are like $100, right? Midnight Society can take another route and put more earnable cosmetics in the game, because if they're hitting the marketplace and they're getting 5-10% of the transaction or whatever every time it's sold, they're still making money. This enables them to do more, to do things that other developers frankly aren't doing, and actually giving the player cosmetics that they can then risk, resell, whatever, hold on to, your choice. The next question after this, or problem, is, well, if I get a really cool cosmetic, let's say I bought it, I earned it, I looted it off somebody, why would I ever risk it? If I love this thing and it's really sought after, why would I ever take it in on a raid in the tower with me and risk losing it? I'm going to answer that for you. This was an idea that I came up with myself. I've heard somebody else has suggested this as well. I don't know for sure. I don't know their name. I didn't rip it from them. I just heard that somebody suggested this. So Apex Legends, Call of Duty, even Valorant have what's called reactive skins or evolutionary skins. And there's different variations of this idea, but DEADROP could do something truly unique to incentivize people to take cosmetics in, to again ensure that everybody just doesn't hoard cosmetics in their inventory. You could still do that if you so choose, but there would be a reward for taking things in. So let's say, however you earn it, via battle pass, purchased, earned, looted, whatever, you get not every gun could be this way, by the way. You get a gun with a cosmetic on it that's like the base version, level 1. Looks cool, right? Looks cool. You decide what you want to do with it. But there's a version, there's a level 2 and a level 3, and how you get to unlock those level 2 and those level 3 looks is they would have certain objectives that need to be completed. Take this gun into the tower, get 10 kills, and survive. This could be done a variety of ways. You know, maybe it takes you 3 or 4 games because you're playing very conservatively because you don't want to lose it. That could be done. And now the skin evolves, it looks cooler, it looks different, it's even more rare, and its value went up, both in, again, just cosmetic clout, and as well as the actual value were it to be sold in the marketplace. And now you have a new objective. If you want to evolve it to level 3, you have to take it to this specific sector and get, I'm making up things clearly here, 5 kills in 1 game. If you accomplish that, you evolve it to level 3, okay? And now let's say there's one final level, or you can make as many levels as you want to continue evolving these skins to make them look cooler and increase the value. And if you do manage to max it out, there could be I really like this idea, a permanent reward of some kind. Maybe not like keep the skin, that's not what I'm saying, but maybe you get a unique profile player frame, or a badge, or an achievement, or whatever, right? Like there's an endless amount of stuff, but to incentivize people to really make it to that final level, take the cosmetic in, make it to that final level, earn a variety of rewards, and then again, keep the gun for nostalgia's sake, for the pride that you fully evolved this thing. Or, okay, now it's worth way more because I've evolved it to the final level. I can sell it on the marketplace and make some money on this thing, right? Like, that's all your choice. Or you do nothing with it. You just keep it and you say, like, I really like this skin, I'm not risking it, I'm keeping it forever because I'm proud of it. All your choice. But that's just one particular idea for how to incentivize people to take valuable loot into the tower with them and risk it and keep the whole economy moving. There's also the entertainment aspect, you know, live streaming, for example, or YouTube videos. Maybe as a content creator, maybe one of the things that I want to be part of, you know, the experience of watching me play DEADROP is I'm gonna risk my stuff, and that's exciting. Come watch me either succeed at a high level and be super happy, or throw fits because I just lost this or that. That's gonna be, from a viewer perspective, that's gonna be amazing. It's gonna, you know, people are gonna watch that, right? And from a creator perspective, that's my choice if I want to do that. You might say, well, that person's being irresponsible. That might be your opinion, but it's no different than the case opening Counter-Strike streams, right? Where people sit there and just endlessly, that's what they are choosing as an adult, as a grown man or woman. This is what I want to do today. This is the content I want to make today. You could definitely see streamers being, you know, front and center in this. You know what? My content's going to be about this high risk, high reward stuff. 100% opportunity there for streamers. And there's a variety of other solutions to this problem, the whole risk reward thing, which I don't think is a problem. I call it a feature. And that is like the tagging system, right? With the tagging system, which is already in DEADROP and maybe iterated on, we don't know. You can literally just insure your gun that you're taking in and make it somewhat likely that you're going to get it back if you die. With the system as it is right now, you spend a little bit of dust, which is a free currency in DEADROP, free currency that you earn from the vendor for selling items to the vendor, items that you extract. And then so long as the cleaners get your gun and not another player, you get it back. It's literally just in your found tab in your inventory. So you get it back. And as of right now, like for example, the Deep Freeze collection is literally free to insure. It doesn't even cost dust, which is, again, free. Whether this stays or not, we don't know, but that's the way it functions as of this very moment, at least, right? So that's a system where, yes, maybe you're taking a risk by taking it in, but you can mitigate your risk. They're giving you the ability to mitigate the risk and giving yourself a chance to get it back if you do make a fluke and you know, you dropped it, but the cleaners got it. And even if somebody takes it, the way I understand it, your insurance stays on it. So if they take it into the tower themselves and they lose it, and then the cleaners get it 2, 3, 4, 10 games later, it still goes back to you so long as the cleaners got it at some point. So the tagging system is one of the first potential player side solutions to being scared of losing something that you took in. And then of course there's just flat out making it so that not every cosmetic can be lost, which is already the way that the system is being implemented, to my understanding. you know, as it sounds right now, for example, or as it functions, you cannot lose your vehicle wraps. You cannot lose those types of cosmetics. I believe you will not be able to lose, the intention is you will not be able to lose your player character model cosmetics, such as your gloves or your chest piece, so on and so forth. And all of this can change. That, you know, Midnight Society can choose to do whatever they want. That's the point of open development. And also they're going to listen to the community. If they do something that not everybody likes, 402 has literally said this. They know at some point they will probably try something that doesn't feel good, and then they'll just, you know, steer away from that because, hey, guess what? We tried this, it didn't work, players didn't like it, we're not doing that again. That's the benefit of building a system in conjunction with the community, in contrast to you fully build out a system, you release the game, all of your game is based on this system, and players don't like it, and now you need to redo like systems on top of systems because, you know, the core of that system was broken or not well thought out or whatever. But again, as it sounds right now, like car and vehicle cosmetics cannot be lost, the license plates, so on and so forth. Player cosmetics cannot be lost. They're not even implemented in the game yet, but when they are, but you know, the weapons, because again, these aren't just your stereotypical skins. These are weapons with cosmetics on them. It's not the same as a BR or an arena shooter, right? It's an important distinction to make, and I cannot reiterate it enough. There's also other solutions that Midnight Society is implementing, such as DCMs. In the future, hypothetically, if there are DCMs where you take guns out of your inventory into, you are not going to be risking your stuff in those modes. You can just take the stuff in. Right now, the DCMs that we have, they don't utilize your inventory. You just pick up guns in the game world. But hypothetically, in DCMs in the future that may utilize your loadout, you could play using the weapons and along with the cosmetics you have on them in DCMs. That's one potential thing, right? And there's a bunch of other ideas being considered as well. There's something like a vertical extraction shooter light that has been mentioned. I'm not sure I particularly love that idea, but it's been tossed out there. To me, that would just be like vertical extraction shooter with no cosmetics at all. That's what I think of. So there's no element of, you know, you're playing something more like a Tarkov where just the guns are the guns, there's no cosmetics on them. That's my personal opinion, but that's, again, just my opinion. There's also been the idea of building like a collection, almost like when I hear that term, I think of like Destiny, Grimoire, or those kinds of things where it's just like a book of all the skins that you've ever had, so you have some type of proof that, hey, at one point I owned this sweet tiger stripe you know, sniper rifle. I lost it, but I still have proof on my account that I had it. And then maybe can you use those in DCMs? There's a variety of different ideas and solutions that Midnight Society is going to consider, especially based on feedback of the community. All right, guys, this has been a long and very theoretical, deep discussion about how Midnight Society is attempting to really change game development and the game industry through DEADROP and a number of problems they're tackling with a variety of solutions. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. You know, my thoughts on it. Again, this is all my thoughts, my opinion, my interpretation, and not 100% how DEADROP is going to work 3 months from now, 6 months from now, or 2 years from now. So, in conclusion, Midnight Society has said from the get-go they plan to change the game industry. They want to change the game. We've seen in this, you know, I explained it in this video even, how the current model in the gaming industry just isn't working for so many people. So many developers are going out of business, seeing their games fail after years and years of development, and how a lot of the current models just frankly aren't sustainable anymore. Midnight Society is doing things. They're making strategic decisions and taking risks themselves to do things differently, and that's not very easy, to be honest. People will resist a lot of these ideas, you know, and that's part of being bold. That's how you create change. And to me, all of that is exciting. That's why I've been on board with Midnight Society since day one, because I see the potential in all of this. I see how it could change the industry. I see how it can change gaming. I see how it can change the way that cosmetic systems work in video games. I see how the marketplace can benefit me as a player and give me player choice and agency and freedom that I don't have in other games. I see how my creations can become part of like the actual DEADROP existence, and how I can put my creations out to the world to kind of, you know, leave my mark on the world of DEADROP. All these things are thrilling and exciting to me, and you know, in my opinion, I don't want DEADROP to be just another first-person shooter. I don't want Midnight Society to be just another AAA developer doing things the same way that other games, as great as they may be. I love Apex, I love Counter-Strike, I love Valorant, right? I don't want DEADROP to be the same. I don't want Midnight Society to be the same. I don't want it to be the same as Escape from Tarkov, as great as those games are. One of the reasons, in addition to being just a fun game that I love, the great community, the great dev team, is because they're taking risks and they're trying to change the game. I want to see new ideas implemented, and I'm thrilled to watch them be implemented. And if I see something that's not a good idea that gets implemented, I will certainly say so. I got in an argument with somebody on the DEADROP subreddit the other day over a particular idea, and I said, hey, I don't like this idea. That's all part of the discussion, right? And that's okay. That's a feedback loop. That's positive. Hopefully all of this makes sense. Hopefully it's coherent. I know it's been very in-depth. Thank you so much if you've watched this long, listened this long. And thank you just for watching the channel and subscribing. As always, again, I want DEADROP to be an extraordinary experience and a game-changing video game. I believe that it can be, and I believe that these ideas that Midnight Society is talking about, the high risk, the high reward, all these things, the marketplace, UGC, it's all linked to one integral vision for DEADROP and Midnight Society, and these core tenets of this I think will click with more players once they're all fully implemented and people really get all of these tools, abilities, and gameplay loops in their hand. So time will tell, but I'm looking forward to that day. And I think that when it comes, DEADROP truly can and will be a revolutionary game for the industry, and the Midnight Society way, so to speak, will be carving a new path forward. And that's truly exciting to me. Thanks for watching the video, guys. See you in the next one. May Reynolds out.